Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel and the podcast. Sal Vetri here, and today I'm going to be covering a different type of a topic, but something that I want to make because I think it'll help at least one person out there that probably sees this, if not more than that. It'll be something of a learning series, but this video's title is going to be something along the lines of probably how I paid off around $90,000, just under $89,000, $181 in student loans in about 11 months to the exact date, a little bit a day before. And I want to just talk through some of the steps on how to do that. Maybe not paying off that same amount in the same amount of time, but just getting a grasp on it, understanding what you have to do, not being scared of it, and actually tackling it so you can get on to bigger and better things to come in your life. So welcome if you're brand new. My name is Sal Vetri. I actually do have a totally different YouTube channel. This one's more so lifestyle, business related things are going to be put on here, managing money, whatever it might be. But my other one has to do with more with fantasy sports. That's actually my full-time job. I own a media company that revolves around the fantasy sports space. But if you're watching this video, it's more so in tune for student loan, maybe some sort of personal finance, just learning for yourself, for a child, for a loved one, a relative, a friend, whatever it might be. What you're seeing behind me on the screen is just my personal student loan tracker. Made it in Excel, Google Sheets, whatever it might be. Free software of Google Sheets is online for anybody that has access to the internet. You can make the exact same thing. And I'll actually, if you have access to Excel, I'll actually link up down below just a way to get this sheet. Maybe not with my exact numbers in it, but you can fill in your own numbers. Might not be as many columns because I had a lot of different types of loans over my 5 years, really just 4 years in college. I did a 5-year program, but only had to pay for 4 of those years. So what you're seeing over the screen is my tracker, my personal tracker, how I wanted to track everything. Now you see, I personally had 3 different areas where I had loans through the federal government, Stafford loans through Sallie Mae, which a lot of you probably do. And then I had a private loan, Sallie Mae, and then also Wells Fargo is just a bank that I ended up going to for my first few loans. So I ended up paying off in 11 months, less 1 day before the 11th month anniversary, if you will, $89,181. Now, the ways in which I did this are not as straightforward as many people. Worked around 100-hour weeks, built a media company during that time. But the idea is not to actually pay off if you have $100,000 in debt right now coming to this video and thinking that you're just going to watch a 5, 10, 15-minute video and be able to pay off your $100,000 in a year or 15 months, right? There is ways to get to that point, but it does take work. But the first thing I'll leave you with, and what this video is going to do, and really this series that I'll be making if this video gets a good response, is what gets measured gets managed. That's something that I heard probably about 3 years ago, and it always reminds me of it. So if you're somebody who likes to budget, if you're somebody who likes to, maybe you're into fitness, tracking your goals, if you're managing it, or if you're trying to manage it, you're going to have to measure it, right? Otherwise, you have no idea what's going on. If you're tracking your calories, say if you're trying to get back into maybe just some sort of weight loss program or back under control with your diet, if you have no idea what you're eating, you're probably not going to do a very good job at that. So start to measure it, and that's what this video is going to be about. The first step of what you understand about your student loans and how to pay them off, or any loan for that instance, is trying to end up measuring it, right? And once you can measure it, you can then start to manage and understand what you're doing. So this is a glorified management tool, and I'll go through and kind of explain it. And the last thing I'll leave you with before we start to explain it is, why do you want to pay off your specific loan, or why do you want to pay off your student loan? That is a big question that you have to ask yourself. A lot of people think that you should just have your student loans and pay them off for 20 years. That's fine thinking if your goal is to pay twice as much back in some situations, depending on your interest rate, to the bank, to pay double for your education. I don't think anybody should want to be paying fleeced, if you will, getting doubled pay for your education when it's as simple as just making bigger payments on those, and quicker really is the big one there, quicker payments so you don't accumulate more interest. So why do you want to pay off your loans? What is it? Do you want to have financial freedom? Personally, for me, it was to have financial freedom. It was to have the ability to really do whatever I want. During that time of paying them down, I was able to just work from home the whole time on a media company, was able to do some side gigs, just had a lot more flexibility. The less and less loans I had to pay monthly, the less I was wrapped into something and really bogged down by more payments a month, the more financial freedom you have. You're not dependent, you're not reliable on anybody else but yourself. That's personally why I wanted to. For you, it could be easily to just travel more without having to pay that $500 a month payment to your loans for the next 10 to 15 years, right? Or $300 a month, whatever it might be. the ability to not be bogged down by debt, but actually have your money working in your favor in terms of retirements or investments, and you're accumulating interest in a positive way. So what is it that you want to do? Do you have a family that you want to be financially secure for in difficult times that you might be going through right now, or the country might be going through right now, right? So why do you want to pay off your loans? That's the biggest thing. For me, financial freedom, and then little caveats within that. So the tracker that I have over here, again, it'll be linked down below. It'll be in an Excel format, but you should be able to download it and upload it into Google Sheets if you don't have Excel. So it should work for everybody. These are the numbers that I have in here. These are the numbers updated. You can see the interest right there as of about 3 days ago when I paid off my final loan. So the first column A right here, and we can walk through this and I can increase them as we go. And I could talk about some of the rules at the end. So the first column here is just the lender and the loan. So pretty much direct, Stafford, unsubsidized. These are just my state loans. This would be Wells Fargo private loan, Sallie Mae. So just name the loan right there so you understand where it's coming from. What type of loan is it? You're going to have fixed or variable. Fixed means that the interest rate does not change. So this rate right here in this column will not change over the length of you paying off that loan. Variable means that it does change. And those are things that you just can't account for. It's going to be based on just the economy, the government, things that I really don't even fully grasp. I only have one variable rate. I would recommend getting to fixed as much as you can. Variable, though, you'll usually get a lower rate because of the risk of it might be changing. Principal, so this is where you'll put your principal amount that will be listed on whatever site you're looking for. So this is just accumulating all of your information. The rate, the interest rate that you're paying on a yearly basis, then divided into 12 monthly payments. So be sure to understand where you can find that. And really, wherever your loan is specifically, there will always be an interest rate by it. And it will tell you if it's variable or fixed. Your interest due. So your interest due right now, this is going to be what you pay on a monthly basis. Now, if you're currently in school and your loans have not yet maybe realized and they have not yet come to the date 6 months after is when they'll start to be able to mature at that point, and you have to start paying them. You can just put 0 here for this, but if you are past your 6 months out of college, you're going to have to start paying these. You do have an interest payment, just an idea of what that is. Paying monthly, yes or no. I put here paid off, but yes, if you're paying these monthly payments, which you should be, and really at any point, even if you're in college, I would highly recommend you pay these monthly payments, even if they're a total of $100 a month. Just pay part of that if that's all you can muster out. As much as you can will help you in the long run. You put yes or no here, just have an idea what you're doing. And then your total due right here. So this is just your overall due between your overall principal and interest due in full. So this is where you'll put your total for the thing. And then over here is another column. I break it up with just a little black line that has up top total debt paid off. So this is what you're just student loan information. This is what you're owing. This is where you are currently. So for me, this is just my finalized report, if you will. So your principal that you paid off, $2,000. This loan was a $2,000 loan. That means when I took it out, I ended up paying $130 in interest for a total of $2,130. And you can see that they stagger, right? So another $2,000 loan, I ended up paying $141, so $2,141. That one I paid around $11 more total because of interest. You can see that they start to stagger. They start at the lowest and they go up to the highest. That is done purposely. One, it's done because I can filter it here. Excuse me as I make that bigger. It's done because I can filter it here, but it's also called the snowball effect. Now, depending on what you like to listen to, what you like to believe, and I learned this in school. I actually learned to be paying off your highest interest loan first, and it makes a lot of sense. I learned that in school. I started to do it as I adjust this screen here. I started to pay off my highest interest loan first, and I was always going in there and feeling like I wasn't doing anything. Motivationally, emotional, psychology. The psychological part of really many things, weight loss like we talked about earlier, but really personal finance is huge. Everybody knows for the most part, right? Not the nuances and the sciences of how to do it optimally, but if you consume less calories, if you work out, you will probably lose weight. If you get good sleep, water, right? Everybody knows the recipes to at least get on track to a healthier diet, similar to how everybody knows the recipes of getting on track to a financial healthier diet, if you will, right? A healthier financial lifestyle. You make money, you save that money, you pay down your debts, you invest your money. There's kind of a recipe there, but what happens is, well, there's a psychological aspect to it. You get hungry, you don't want to cook, you eat out, you don't really care too much about that one payment, and then it starts to boil because maybe you are not measuring it, then you are not managing it. So things get a little bit more difficult when the emotional side of whether it's your finances, your health, gambling, whatever people get into at that point, that can become destructive. And if you can reel it back in, it becomes much better. So the emotional side of paying off your highest interest loan first has been tons of studies have shown that people just don't pay them off. If you're paying $150 on a $20,000 loan, it feels like nothing is happening, especially if that's accumulating $90 a month in interest or something like that, right? So what happens is the snowball effect. And there's people like Dave Ramsey. I would recommend his podcast, The Dave Ramsey Show. There's some other great individuals out there as well. Dave Ramsey Show, it's a radio show that's broken down to podcast formats. It's just a good resource to have if you don't really have a starting point outside of these videos. And the snowball effect is you take and you gain motivation, like a snowball going down a hill. It starts to gain momentum, really, instead of motivation for yourself. And you gain momentum and you're going down a hill and you become bigger and faster and you start to get ahead of everything else in your way. That's how it is here. You start to pay off these smaller loans first. You get ahead of how the overall debt number is. You start to get motivation. Emotionally, it's lifting. You might be sitting there going, no, I can pay the largest loan off first. I know how to do math. I know I'll save more money. You might be one of those 5% of people who can do it. That's fine. But just know what the numbers say, and personally experience this, it's really, really difficult to actually do. So what you do is you get all of your loans into here, right? Your name, the type of loan it is, the principal that you owe, the interest rate, the interest that you owe. Are you paying monthly or not? And then you add up here, just a simple formula, add in equals interest plus the principal. All that will be in the sheet when you download it. And then you can just filter it. If you're in Excel, you go to data up top and then just filter by your total due, filter it smallest to largest, the snowball effect. It is the quickest way to do it. That probably saved me in the long run a ton of money. Now, in theory, the paying off the highest interest rate first is going to save you money if you put it out on paper. When you actually put this into real life practice, because theories always do not work out the same way on paper as they do once you put into emotion, human emotions, reasoning, and all the other variables that you can't take into account. Keeping people on track. The paper is going to say that people stay on track 100% of the time. That's not true when you actually put that into the real world. So I would recommend highly the snowball effect. It has been a proven way to really pay off your loans much quicker. And in the end, it actually probably saves you much more money just based on the fact that you stay motivated. So filtering your smallest loan to your highest. Again, I know a lot of people probably think it's the opposite. Trust me, it is not from my experience and many others. So this is just a sheet. It's linked down below. I have some rules here that I personally just wrote from listening to sources like Dave Ramsey and just some other sources as well. But you can see these rules. So pay the lowest total first. We just went over that. That is the snowball effect. Budget. I'll make another video on my personal budget. My budget's a lot more, not advanced, but has a lot more things on it than you need to. A budget is pretty much, what are you spending money on each month? Where are you getting your money from? So if you just work for one job, if you're an employee of a company, that's where you're getting your money from. Maybe you make $5,000 a month, right? $60,000 for the year before taxes. So you put $5,000 on the top, then you X out your expenses. If you're single, maybe you're spending $225 on food. Maybe your subscription services to Spotify and whatever else costs you $50 a month. Maybe you have a car payment that's $200 a month, right? Car insurance, $50, all that. You put that as your expenses, you minus it all, and then your total for the month comes out. So you have an idea, budget. I'll make a full video on budgeting, a more spreadsheet as well there. 100% of your excess income on loans. Another way to put this is your 100% of your disposable income on loans. For me personally, any dime that I can muster after having all of my expenses paid for, any unforeseen expenses for that month popping up, if there were any, most of the time there wasn't. After that, everything, 100% of it would go onto my loans. Get out of debt ASAP. Just a reminder, pretty straightforward there. $1,000 into savings, the rest on your loans. This might scare a lot of people, especially if you have a family with a child or so. So, I mean, this is what you feel comfortable doing. A lot of people usually use this $1,000 number in your savings account as an emergency fund only. Have $1,000 to the side as an emergency fund. You will have your income coming in each and every month. Obviously, then you get your expenses gone. And if anything terrible was to happen, you lose your job. You potentially, a car tire breaks out, right? Or a tire pops, right? Something like that. You could reach into that $1,000 and use it. If you like having something a little bit higher, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, whatever it might be, that's fine. It'll just take a little bit longer to get your debt paid off if you're going to keep more in your savings where it's not accumulating any type of positive interest in terms of an investment for you. And then stay current on all of your loans. So this is important. So what does stay current on all of your loans means? Well, it means right here, this column that says column F, paying monthly, that I've highlighted. Staying current just means paying monthly on your loans. So stay current on all of your loans. So if you're paying this first loan right here, that's $2,000 a month. All of these other loans you should be making the interest payment on. Stay current. Current means not accumulating more interest, not making that loan bigger. It just means every single month you'll be paying that interest payment. You'll be slowly knocking out the loan, but you'll be putting all of your efforts and attention on the smallest loan that's currently in your portfolio, if you will. So stay current on all of your other loans while you pay off viciously that first smallest loan, or it could be your third smallest loan at this point, depending on how many you've already knocked out. Be sure to celebrate some small wins. You pay off a loan, celebrate the small wins. There's different ways that you can go about it in terms of budgeting and how much money you're actually going to have. But the biggest advice that I can give to start is, one, ask why you want to pay off your loans. Do not get wrapped into the mindset that you have to have your student loans for 20 years because Wells Fargo or the bank or Sallie Mae tells you on a piece of paper that you do. No, they're telling you that because you are their income stream. You are their revenue. You are making money for them by waiting longer. That's it. They're not your friend. At this point, you are just a pawn in a game to make more money, to be completely honest with you. So the quicker you pay off your loans, the quicker that you are not paying them extra money, believe it or not. When you work out the numbers, more people are paying almost double on their loans at this point. When you have a loan anywhere over $50,000, you're paying almost $100,000 based on the current interest rates for a lot of people coming out of college because people don't have credit. So starting it off here basic, I'll be putting up more videos if this one gains any type of traction. To kind of finish up how I personally did this in 11 months, I started off making just $1,000, $2,000 a month right out of college. I went to school for business strategy, a 5-year program. I started making some fantasy sports, fantasy football videos, things like that in my dorm at college. It kind of took off, and I kind of molded a media company around it, advertising, sales, some digital products. So doing that was, I would say, hard work. Some people would try and say luck, but it was around 100 hours, and it still is a week of work, about 14-hour days, 7 days a week. So things will pay off if you do that. I have some other videos on those types of things in the works as well. But for this one, student loan, if you are indeed interested in this, if you have any other questions, let them know in the comments. You can reach out to me. My Twitter is on the screen at SalVetryDFS. I feel very, I would say, passionately about this stuff. It is very sad that people get bogged down by loans, but it is your responsibility to pay them off if you indeed take them out. It is a very weird and I would say broken system based on putting kids in a ton of debt right out of college. But there is a way to get out of it, and there is a way very quickly. Once again, I'll end it how I kind of started this. What gets managed and really what gets measured gets managed. So this is a starting point for you. If you have no idea what your loans are, the interest rates, the principals, where the loans are coming from, that's normal. Most people do not, especially if you're in college. But you're going to get a huge advantage if you just put a little sheet like this together. I'll send you the outline. You just take the time, take today, take tonight, tomorrow, whatever it might be. It takes you a half hour just to sign into some of these spots. Ask your parents if you do not know the information to get into your accounts. Just ask your parents, figure it out, get in and chart all this stuff down so you can start to at least start making some traction and have an idea of what everything looks like, and you start to develop a plan. Without this, without a roadmap, you're not going to go anywhere. You're probably just going to crash. So appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning into this one. My name is Sal Vetry. You can follow me and ask me any questions in the comments and or on Twitter. Hit the subscribe button here on this channel if you indeed wish. And if you like this, or if you want to see any other topics like this, something explained a little bit more in depth, you can just let me know and I'll be sure to crank them out. Going to be putting some more videos out on this secondary channel of mine. If you're interested in any fantasy sports, daily fantasy sports type content, you can check that stuff out on my other channel, just Sal Vetry, my shorter first name, as this one is Salvatore Vetry. Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed that video. Above my head, if you're not already subscribed to this channel, I do ask you if you can please hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a good amount to reach more people. You can also follow me on Twitter. That's over there. Right in the corner is my @SalVetryDFS Twitter. And then above, you'll find my Patreon link. You can click on that if you want more exclusive content for me, or a video is going to pop up. So why don't you check that one out as well? I think it's going to be beneficial for you. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.